To start with, the revenue performance of the year. The Gambia Revenue Authority has shown a commendable revenue performance against its set target in 2025, achieving a notable improvement in revenue collection. This has been driven by enhanced compliance, efforts, and targeted tax reforms. Despite the external economic challenges, GRA managed to achieve its annual revenue target. The authority collected over 25.3 billion for last year, 2025. This performance represents a nominal growth of 21% when you compare the last year's revenue performance. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this year, GRA most significant achievements are as follows. First, the achievement of the annual revenue target. The successful implementation of the ongoing tax administration reforms and improved compliance strategies, which include the following: increased outreach and educational programs aimed at taxpayers. These efforts have resulted in a more transparent tax environment and stabilized the revenue streams. B, signing of the contract for the implementation of the electronic invoicing for VAT and other taxes. C, signing of the contract to implement the iTax. D, signing of regulation for revenue assurance for mobile network operations. And the launching of the first phase of the rental compliance system in October 2025. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in as much as we are doing all these things, we have faced some challenges during the course of the year. GRA's challenges remain making the tax systems equitable, inclusive, improving the compliances across all taxpayers categories, and completing the digital transformations drive. Over the years, the authorities learned invaluable lessons in flexibility and the need for adaptive strategies to increase revenue without overburdening the taxpayers, emphasizing the importance of ongoing stakeholders dialogue. Revenue collection and economic impact, the sector's contribution. This year, sectors such as the telecommunication, banking and financial services, trade, and petroleum contributed most significantly to national revenue. The positive performance in the telecommunication was driven by the increased usage of the digital services. Banking and finance services was also driven by increased financial inclusion with the increase of the fintechs. The increased contributions from the petroleum taxes is being triggered by the increase in import volumes, reductions of fuel subsidies, and the introduction of fuel marking. While trade growth can be attributed to improved import and export processes driven by the Asikuda Wall. I believe you all know about the Asikuda Wall. That's the platform that is being used by the international trade. Once you import something, you have to write on the Asikuda Wall to be able to do your declaration. And that system has been very helpful to us over the years since it's coming in 2022. The e-tracking of transit goods was also very helpful for us. The e-tracking, as some of you already know, these are the trackers that we use for all our transits that are going out of the country, including dry cargoes from the ports as well as the petroleum product. And equally, the goods that are coming from other countries like Senegal into the Gambia. So all of them are subject to have e-tracking, and it has eliminated the human following of the escort of these goods going either out or into the country. So the e-tracking has been with us for some time now, and we have seen the important role the e-tracking has been doing in terms of escort of the transits. Digital weight bridge. The digital weight bridge also contributes significantly towards our revenue If you remember, about a year ago or so, we have this digital weighing bridge at the seaport, mainly for bulk cargos, that is rice, flour, sugar, and cement, etc. These are goods that normally their duties are charged based on the weight, and therefore, when they arrive in the country, in addition to what they declare on the manifest, GRA will always want to verify and to know exactly what the cargo is, the cargo that has come. And then the weight bridge help us greatly to know that weight, and so that duties can be paid based on the weight that is on the cargo. Digital drive-through scanner. You all know about the this scanner that is at the port, and that is very useful. And nowadays, if you have your correct invoices and you do your declaration, you do your assessment, you can pay your duties directly and then go to the port, collect your goods, and then it goes through the scanner without talking to anybody. So this is something that we think that it's very good for the country. And if anyone has goods within 24 hours, if all your documents are correct, you can clear your goods through the help of the scanner that is at the port. So we are very happy that we have state-of-the-art scanner at the seaport. And once your documents are correct, you don't talk to anybody. Your agents will just do your declaration, and then you go to the port and collect your goods. In addition to all these things, we have the single window platform, which is very helpful too. Now you can have all your manifest declarations. They can all go through the single window, as well as the shipping agency, the ports authorities, the GRA, and other agencies or stakeholders can all use the platform to do whatever they want to do as far as the international trade transactions are concerned. So it's very, very effective. The single window is also a very effective when we brought it in place. Alongside the single window, you have the weight bridge as well, and then you have the e-trackings and all the others that are associated with the single window platform. So we are very grateful to have a system like a single window. All of these things I mentioned have contributed positively towards the revenue that we have mentioned. That's the 25.3, over 25.3 billion that we are able to collect for the year 2025. And then we have also a contributing factor is the digital excise tax stamp, among other transformative reforms we introduced. I think you can all remember the digital tax stamps when we do introduce it. Is it in 2024 or later 2024? That's the tax stamp that is on all this water, and then canned drinks, and flour, and all the alcohols that comes, and other products that are excisable. So this, prior to the bringing of the digital tax stamps, there was a lot of smuggled goods that we have found in town. And it was very difficult for GRA officers to identify which goods pay duty and which ones don't pay duty. So, and also equally, the production, the factories that are producing in the country, they are supposed to pay what we call excise tax based on their production. And it was very difficult for us to know the quantity, because their payments are based on the quantity. And if someone is alone in his factory, he does his own production, and he does his own self-assessment. So we only take them on the face value of what they present to us. But over time, we realized that things are not as we expected. And that is why we brought in the excise tax stamp. And the excise tax stamp has helped us to eliminate the smuggling, and as well as the under-declaration that has been happening in the factories that we have around. So today, because of the presence of the digital tax stamps, people are declaring as they produce. So it has eliminated the under-declaration. Today, because of the digital tax stamp, the smuggled goods that were coming into the country have been eliminated, because all of you here, including those that are not here, any one of you who goes to a shop or a supermarket, the first thing you look at is the digital tax stamp of GRA. If you don't see that in the excisable good, you know that those particular goods have been smuggled. It means that they came here without GRA. And because of the fact that everybody is aware, that's why I wanted Mati to come here, because she and her team has played a pivotal role in public education about some of these reforms. And then it happens that the whole Gambia is now, you know, we can see all of us as tax collectors because everybody is protective of this. Now, when people go to the shops, if they see a bottle, either canned drink or drinking water without necessarily, without the tax stamp, they will always ask, what about this? And the shopkeepers, based on the information I get, the shopkeepers are now resisting to buy from suppliers any bottle, either canned drink, alcohol, or water that does not have the GRA tax stamps, because they don't want to have trouble with GRA. So definitely the enforcement is perfect. The whole country has accepted it, although at the beginning it was tough, which is normal, you know, whenever we bring new reforms, it's always tough before people understand. But for us at the GRA, we believe whatever we brought in here, as far as the tax reforms are concerned, as far as the digital platform is concerned, we know it's good for the country. So we will have resistance for a period of time, but after that, you know, it's over, maybe 2 months, 3 months. Now today, this is a darling. If you want to take it out here, I think you people will come back and say, no, don't do that, because you have seen the positive effect that it has brought in. And above all, the increased revenue that we are realizing from the digital tax stamp. So you say thank to our partners, as well as we thank you for the cooperation. Now we move into the Revenue Mobilization Balancing Act. Here at GRA, we try to balance revenue mobilization by protecting businesses and citizens through the introduction of digital platforms, mean to ease the compliance burden on taxpayers. All the digital platforms, all the digital reforms, initiatives being implemented by GRA are aimed at promoting compliance and have been designed not to overburden the taxpayers, but allowing a fair contributions of the national budget. Revenue authorities all over the world have embraced the use of the technology to enhance revenue collection and to make paying taxes easy for the taxpayers. GRA have decided not to be left behind. That is why over the past 5 years or more, we have introduced a number of digital platforms to bring efficiency in our revenue collection, and at the same time, making taxpayer services accessible to our taxpayers through digital platforms. We are looking forward to embracing and harnessing the data analytics and artificial intelligence and to improve our compliances. As a revenue collecting institution, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, GRA is always under pressure, month in, month out, year after year, to meet or surpass our monthly and yearly revenue target. And this is quite challenging. This is our daily work. On a daily basis, month in, month out, year in, year out, we are under constant stress and challenges. The 2025 is gone, December, we started January. From the beginning of January, now we are thinking of, towards the end of January, how much target we are supposed to have. As you know, that is our way of life. Everybody here has a specialty. You all have your careers. We, at the level of GRA, our career is revenue collection. This is where we are, what we see ourselves. But to tell you the truth, it's not a child's play. You know, it's day in, day out, it's an issue. We are always challenged, month in, month out, year in, year out. We passed 2025, now we are thinking of January 2026, not about February. But to tell you that 2025 was challenging, but we had a very good revenue collection. As I mentioned earlier on, we collected over 25.3 billion. However, when you do a good job, you know, your principals want to give you more. So 2026, that we have another target that is almost 27.5 billion. So if you compare that with our original target of 23 billion, it's like we have we have over 4.5 billion in addition to what we should collect, and that would give us a collection of 27.5 billion. So as I said, it's not easy. Year in, year out, we have to be doing it month in, month out. And that 27.5 billion, we will now break that into 12 months. So technically, you are talking about over 2 point something billion on monthly basis, barely 2.2 to 2.3 billion. So this is not a child's play. It's very challenging, but we want to live up to expectation. And we have given promise that we will be able to do it. Maybe let me make this clear. The 27.75 billion, which has been given to GRA as a target for 2026, is not an imposed target. It is calculated. We have gone through screening, and we discussed, GRA has discussed with Minister of Finance, and we have discussed with IMF, our development partners, and we have agreed that we have to collect that for the year. And now we are ready to face that challenge. And we hope that all of you will be on board to help us to make sure that we call you next year again around this time to tell you or to announce what work have been done over the last year. And we hope and pray that we will make it. No worries at all. Sure. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Revenue Authority all over the world have embraced the use of technology to enhance revenue collection and to make paying taxes easy to taxpayers. GRA, like I said earlier on, have decided not to be left behind. And that is why over the past 5 years, we have introduced a number of digital platforms to bring efficiency in our revenue collection and at the same time make taxpayer service accessible to our taxpayers through digital platform. We are looking forward to embracing and harnessing data analytics and artificial intelligence to improve our work. Looking forward, there are both ongoing and planned reforms that target domestic tax administration. This includes, we are looking forward now for 2026. And in this particular year, we are looking forward for new reforms. For example, the rental income compliance system, which we have already discussed with you. We have already covered the Banjul and KMC, the rental income compliance system, which has the street views of the whole of Banjul and KMC. Now, what we are working on is the West Coast region. We want to take the street views of everything and get the data of all the properties in the West Coast and create a platform such that we will be able to have access to each one of you at any given time the need arises. So that those of you who are not paying your taxes, it's better you come forward and then start paying your rental income taxes. Otherwise, GRA will definitely come for you one day. And in addition to the rental tax compliance, we also have the iTax, Integrated Tax Administration System, which also the system is already, we've signed the contract and already the development has started. We're praying that in 2026, we'll see that one also up and running. We also have the implementation of the iTax, which I've just said, most particularly the digitalization of the authority introduced. This iTax system that we have signed already, we believe that when we have the iTax system in place, it will just be like the Asikuda system. As I have explained earlier on to you, the Asikuda system that you have, that you can run through quickly, within 24 hours, you can have your container from the port without talking to anybody within GRA. So likewise, when we have the iTax system also, you, the business community or their agents will be able to do the registration on their own. Their businesses, they will register using the platform without talking to anybody. The business community will be able to do their filing. Unlike now, they are coming to us when they are doing that filing, and then you have that human, interaction. We want to avoid that, and then the system will create a platform for them where they will be able to do their filing without talking to anybody. And once you file, when it comes to payment, either monthly, quarterly, or yearly final payments, you will be able to instruct your bank to do the payment on your behalf without coming to GRA for any direction or any advice. And equally, those of you who also do claim for their refunds, now when we have the iTax in place, there will be nothing like coming to GRA with all the papers that you are. We really want to go paperless. That is our aim. Gradually, we will get there. Like the French will say, c'est le petit et petit, le loinson fait son nid. For those of you who can speak French. And those who cannot speak French, those of you who cannot speak French, it means that it is slowly, or step by step, the birds in the air put up their nest. If you see a bird put a house nest, it is not one day, it is not 1 week, it is not one month. It can take months. They will go and pick a stick, put it there, bring one stick somewhere, bring. So it takes a while. So GRA, we follow in the same full step. It will take a while, but we will get there. We know where we are going, and we will certainly get there. And that's why we bring in this platform, digital platforms on a gradual basis, step by step. If you see all I have mentioned before, and the ones that I have not mentioned, they are coming on a gradual basis. And because of these reforms, this is why we are able to get this revenue that we are getting. Well, the reforms are here to block the leakages or the loopholes that are within the system. The manual, when you do works manually, there's a lot of things that are lacking and a lot of leakages happen. But if you go on digital, all those loopholes are blocked, and then it translates to transparency and accountability. And above all, efficiency in the system, and then you have more revenue, as we are witnessing today. Impact of digitalization drive. The impact of digitalization drive on compliance has been positively marked by increased revenue collection, which I have just mentioned. Increased transparency and reduced revenue leakages. These modernizations efforts have also allowed GRA to better track transactions, monitor productions, or importation of accessible goods, fuel products, leading to enhanced accountability and compliance among other taxpayers. We go back to the regional cooperation. As you know, GRA has affiliation with a lot of other partners outside and inside. So regional cooperation has played a crucial role in improving GRA administration. We participate actively in regional initiatives, and that enhances collaboration among neighboring countries. This has supported collective efforts to combat smuggling and streamline procedures. Along this line, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, GRA has signed MOU with bilateral customs administrations of Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, meant to enhance regional trade. In addition, the authority plays active roles in regional bodies like ECOWAS, World Customs Organization, as well as World Customs Organization West and Central Africa, tax administrations, forums, WATAF, among others, regional bodies that we have. One of the reasons why we signed the MOU with Senegal, and we have bilateral meetings with Senegal on an annual basis. Either we go there, the following year they come here. We have a very good reasons, and the reason is simple to understand. Gambia is a country that is completely surrounded by Senegal. So as far as GRA is concerned, we make sure that we have a very good relationship with our partners there. This is why we signed the MOU. And this is why we have an annual meeting with Senegal. Every other year, Senegalese will come over here, and then the following year we go there, just to solidify and concretize the MOUs that are between us. And within those MOUs, what we want, as far as trade is concerned, we stipulated it all there. And they also will tell us what they want. And these are paying dividends, because we have seen that whilst trade is going on, sometimes there are obstacles here and there. But with this bilateral MOU meetings that we do, and the MOUs, it is most of the time those problems that comes at the border. And we promise that we will continue doing that kind of a bilateral meeting, and we'll also making sure that the MOUs are refreshed, and then additional items will be added, and also where there is a need, we take things that are not necessary. And we believe that Senegal is our sister country, and it takes anything it takes for us to have that constant meeting, consultations. We will continue doing that. Aside from the signing of the MOU, we have also leveraged on international cooperation to understudy and benchmark other revenue administration and send some of our staff for attachment. We have an MOU with Zambia Revenue Authority, and we have been able to send our staffs to Zambia to benchmark our systems and processes with those of Zambia, with a view to improve ours. We have also done with Uganda Revenue Authority and the Rwanda Revenue Authority. We realize that we cannot be an island when it comes to this business of collection of taxes. We learned a lot from our counterparts, particularly in Africa, about their initiatives and strategies that enhance their revenue performance, and our international cooperation largely is based on South-South cooperation. We have a lot of meetings with these countries. For example, the East African countries that we've mentioned. They are considered, some of them are considered as the best practicing tax administrations. And some of the reforms that we are implementing here, we understudied it from those countries. And because of that, sometimes we send some of our staffs, they go there for attachment for a couple of weeks or months. They see how they work, they do their work, and then when they come, they transfer that knowledge to our staffs, and then the staffs that goes there will also discuss with the staffs that are on the ground. As we cannot send everybody there, but the few that are selected that goes there, whenever they come, they do knowledge transfer. So this has been very, very helpful to us, and we will continue doing that, to have that consultations between us and those countries, because we consider them to be countries that have marked their name and their excellence in terms of revenue collection or administration in general. So we will stay in touch with them, and time to time, when there's a need, when there is a meeting, either they go or we come. But again, let me say this quickly. In as much as we were going to those countries to study what they're doing, and then we bring the best practice to the country, our country. Today, we are also proud to say that some of the neighboring countries now are also coming to Gambia. So, in other words, we are creating a situation where people are coming here to learn. Not even long ago, Sierra Leone was here, and they came some months back, and then later they come back a few weeks ago. They came to study how we are doing our things in terms of revenue administration. So we really built a name for ourselves outside there. Whenever you go outside, you realize that Gambia is always identified as a country that has an excellent revenue administration. And then the digital platforms that we create, those countries really admire how we started and where we are. So as a result, most of those countries are coming here now. Not long ago, we have also Nigerians and Senegalese as well. So exactly, those other countries will come, to see what we are doing. And I think that is okay, South-South cooperation. We go to other countries, now other countries are coming to Gambia. So we should really thank ourselves and congratulate ourselves for a good job that we are doing. And I believe that we will continue to make the Gambian flags higher and higher. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me talk about ETAF. We are an active member of ETAF, that's the African Tax Administration Forum. This ETAF have created a platform that supports revenue administrations in Africa to improve their processes, strategies, and policies, and to embrace best practice in the continent. We have gained a lot of capacity development through training from ETAF on compliance management, transfer pricing, and other technical areas. These are some of the organizations that we are part of, starting from WATAF, ETAF, WCO, West and Central Africa, etc. The benefits that we have from these organizations is they offered a lot of capacity building as far as revenue administration is concerned. A lot of trainings have, and these trainings are free of charge. So most of our staffs benefit from training. And an organization like ETAF has offered us many times in a year, they will offer us training on tax audit. And you know what tax audit means within our system. The administrations are such that what the taxpayers do is self-assessment, both for the international trade and domestic. It is not GRA, I always emphasize. It is not GRA that will come and tell you this is what you are supposed to pay. When you go out, you import a container, you have goods there, or you buy a car, you bring it over, call it whatever commodities that you bought. It is not GRA who will bring the invoice and say, this is what you bought it. It is you who bought the goods. You have to submit the correct invoice to GRA. And then you do go through the system, do your declaration. The system, as the wall, will apply the rates that are there. You print it out, you pay. Likewise, the domestic taxes. It is you who will file your own turnover income. So all what we do is to look at it, and whatever rate is there is applied. So in that case, what we do in general, we try to give everybody benefit of the doubt. We believe everybody is doing the right thing until we prove that what you are doing is not the right thing. So in that case, what we do is tax audit in terms of domestic taxes. We allow you to do whatever you want to do in terms of your filing. Then here and after, we will send our tax auditors to go and check in what you do. At the end of the day, the tax audit will come up with a report. And that report is what we are going to take. And we will show you that report. This is what we have from the tax audit. In that, so I'm saying that ETAF always help us in training those tax auditors. They always very, very, very important institution that help us to train our tax audit, because the tax audit is very important for us. All the other sectors are important, all the other units are important, but tax audit is the one who goes after the taxpayers when they pay. So their capacity building is very key to GRA. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's now move on to staff integrity measure. As a revenue authority, this is very important. The integrity of the staffs. GRA has instituted strict measures to ensure integrity, professionalism, and accountability among its staffs, including staff service rules, code of conduct, regular training programs, performance evaluation, and whistleblower policy, and encouraging reporting on ethical behavior. One of the measures we took to deal with staff's integrity, which is a challenge for revenue authorities across the world, including the developed world, is the establishment of an internal affairs unit. Since the establishment of this unit under my office and directly answerable to me, we have introduced several policies geared towards handling integrity, issues such as gift policy, conflict of interest policy, whistleblower policy. All these policies are now in effect, and staffs have been sensitized on the policies. We have also updated our code of conduct to bring it to an international standard. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I know you will all believe me that we cannot run GRA without a proper staff service rule, without a proper code of conduct, without a proper setup of internal affairs unit. And this is a unit which, since it was created, has been very, very helpful to the authority. They look at the affairs of the staffs, the behaviors of the staffs, and anything that happens, then we are alert and necessary actions are taken. So the unit is very, very important and is very helpful to management. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let us now move to engagements with the private sector. This year, GRA has actively engaged the private sector and informal businesses through tax seminars, outreach events, radios, TV talk shows designed to educate on tax compliance and available services. These engagements have facilitated a better understanding of the tax system. We are here for the taxpayers. We are not working for ourselves, we are working for you people. So whatever we are doing, we want you to understand. We want the business community to understand our procedures and processes. And this is why constantly, with the reforms that are going, our digital reforms that are going, We always engage the business community to our seminars that we do, as well as radios and TV programs, so that we can be in one platform. We don't want to be at one level, they are in another level. And I think we have been doing this very effectively. This year, after the Gambia Chamber of Commerce election, for their leaders, we held meetings with their newly elected officials to discuss some concerns and challenges, how we can both support each other. Our doors are always open to collaborate with the private sector, including their representatives, to find solutions to a mutual concern. My doors as a CG is always open to welcome concerns of the private sector. We are, as I said, let me repeat that again. We are here for you people. So whatever you people want us to do, that's what we do, but in accordance with law. We want to do everything in accordance with the law. So any concerns the private sector have, the business community in general, our doors are open, they can come in. Once it's within the purview of the law, we are open to entertain and discuss that. Message for the business outside of the tax net. We have a message which we want you to help us, the press, to take it out. Very important. Everything I've said here is important, but this is very important. And listen to it carefully. To the businesses still operating outside of the tax net, GRA encouraged them to formalize their operation and comply with tax regulations. The authority is willing to support their transitions with guidance and resources that ease the process of becoming tax compliant. This is very important. We understand there are still businesses that are operating in this country and they are not coming forward to pay their taxes. This is not what is desirable. At the level of GRA, we are inviting those businesses to come and register their businesses and pay their taxes. One thing that we have to remember, whether you are a Gambian or you are a non-Gambian, once you are doing business in this country, you are doing an economic activity and you are gaining some benefits out of it, it is an obligation on you for you to come forward and pay your taxes. Because we have to remember that Gambia is a tax-based economy. We cannot be operating our businesses without payment of taxes. You are not fair to yourself. You are not fair to government. You are not fair to other people who pay their taxes. Because it's based on these taxes that we pay, development and security of the country is being taken care of. So I believe it is a fair statement when we said our doors are open, come forward. Don't be afraid of anything. For those of you who are still there, you are operating, you are not paying your taxes. We are saying that please come forward and come and join those that are paying their taxes so that we can all enjoy things that are happening in the country. Let me move to the leadership of GRA. As Commissioner General, the most critical challenge for me is keeping a delicate balance between monitoring ongoing reform initiatives while maintaining the staff's morals and performance levels high. Leadership requires managing these changes sensitively and inclusive. You will all believe with me that it's not easy to lead, even though all of us want to be leaders, but it is not easy to be a leader. As a leader, you must be very tolerant. You must be someone who will be open to his doors to people, and then you must be somebody who listens. And an institution like GRA, you need a leader who listens to people. You don't need a dictator. But you don't need a leader also who is not proactive on the issues. You can listen, but you don't take all advices. You take ones you feel like they are the best for you. So it's always difficult, but we sign for the job. We have to live up to expectation. Let me say this. I am a leader that do not like to take the credits, all the credits by myself from collective, but whatever I do is from collective work, and achievements are done collectively. The remarkable revenue performance this year and all the past years or previous years have been positive because of the support I received from the board. The chairman is here, Sandur. I told him to come so that he can be part of the team. So that whatever we are saying here, the chairman will be aware. And I told my top management to be here. They are all here, that's the directors. And I told my senior management to be here, and also senior officers. When you come in, you saw me telling, where is this one, where is this one? Because I want them to be here to listen what I am saying. So that it is not Yankuba who make all this money, but it's Yankuba plus people that are behind me. And I don't like to take credits every time, myself. No, I am part of it, but I work with people. And the board play a pivotal role in terms of policy directions. The top management, they play a pivotal role. And all my staffs as well. So whatever we are doing, it's always something that we do together. Every one of them contributes to this success. And I'm looking forward to lead this incredible team again in 2026 to set another record. That is what we want. Whatever we have done in 2025, we want to do something bigger than that in 2026. And it's possible. With the kind of staffs that I have, it is possible we can have it. When it comes to building of the systems, we are looking inward to see revenue lines that we feel like they are not performing properly. What can we do to make sure that we bring a digital platform to those revenue lines so that the collections will increase and efficiency and transparency will be there? That is our job, and that's what we are doing, and we will continue doing that. But in as much as we are doing that, we don't also leave behind the staff capacity building, because you build systems, you make sure that the systems are here, they are digital to do the collection for you, but the systems cannot function without the staff's capacity being developed. The staffs have to be behind the systems, and in doing that, we are proud to say that we have our staffs that are trained and they can do any length as far as these systems are concerned. I am proud to tell you that my director of HR and admin is here. As we speak today, we have over 200 graduates. As we speak today, we have more than 12 to 13 ACCA holders. As we speak today, we have more than 10 lawyers, qualified lawyers, not only lawyers, but qualified lawyers. As we speak today, the number of master's holders and bachelor's holders we have is, you cannot count them. So professionally, training and academic training, we are doing that constantly. We are not leaving our staffs behind. And we are also, encouraging our staffs, those that are trainable, we are training them constantly on their professional lines as well. So GRA is up to tax, because we are building this institution to stay here for the rest of mankind. And that is why we are bringing all this system. If you are following GRA trend of changes over the years, you can see the reflection of those changes on the revenue collection. Barely 2017, we are having how many digits? 7 point something billion. Here we are, 2025, just ended. Our collection has gone above 25 billion. So if this trend goes on, we can be here another year to tell you that we are heading towards 30 billion. These kind of figures are unheard for when we were using manual systems of collection of taxes. And I think days are gone where we will think of doing things manual, because we are already digital, and we will move more and more. As you know, this world of digitalization, we have to keep changing. We have to keep following of what is happening in the digital world. By doing that, we will always be there, and we will be able to do our work in a very transparent manner, accountable manner, and a manner that will also bring efficiency in our work. And this is the aim of GRA, including the board of directors, as well as management and the rest of the staff. We want to make sure that not only collecting the revenue, but the staff welfare is also well kept, so that the staffs that are trained will stay. Because if we train our staffs and we don't keep them properly, they might start looking somewhere else and leave. So we don't want that to happen. So in as much as we are training them, and we also try to keep them and make sure that their conditions are conducive. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I am going on my final paragraph reading, this is the New Year message that I have for everybody. My New Year message to the Gambian taxpayers and the business community is one of a hope and partnership. Let us head into the new year with a shared commitment to building a strong and more equitable tax system that serves the interests of all citizens while fostering national development. Your compliance is a step towards a prosperous Gambia. Like I said, when we have the compliance level up, it means that more collection for the Gambia, and that translates to more development. You will all agree with me. A lot of development is happening, and most of it is done from the local revenue that we generate. So we are saying that the compliance level has to go up. In doing all this work, we have also our development partners, like the World Bank, the IMF. These are people, even EU, etc., etc. These are people, African Development Bank. These bodies are very helpful to GRA, because what we do, they are interested in it. These development partners want to see us progress. And anytime you knock at their door, they always open their door to see how we can partner with them. And this has been happening in the past, and it pays a lot of development. Let me bring you back a little bit. I keep saying the Asikuda Wall. The history of Asikuda Wall started at Asikuda 2.7, which we run for years, and we move on. As I said, technology keeps improving. So when we have the Asikuda 2.7, we move into Asikuda Plus Plus. From Asikuda Plus Plus, which run for a number of years, then we move to Asikuda Wall. But who really fund the Asikuda Wall for us? It's African Development Bank. When we want to get that system from UNTAD, it was not a very cheap amount. It was very, very high amount. And we have to knock at the doors of our development partners. Then African Development Banks help us to get the Asikuda Wall in here. So we're really grateful for all of them, in particular for those who sponsor certain programs for us. Now, you go to the iTax. I always compare these two. If you follow in my speech, the Asikuda Wall is for the international trade. The iTax is for the domestic revenue. These are platforms that we have, and then we ride on those platforms to generate the revenues. And the iTax, also the system is also funded, fully funded by the World Bank. And that's why it's important that we cannot really come and forget our development partners. In the past, EU has been coming. They also support us in different areas. And other development partners, like IMF, they do their own way of helping us in terms of technical support. All the time, they are coming over here, guiding us, giving us training, and other technical support. So we are very grateful for them. And finally, like I always said, peace is the most important commodity in any country. As we enter 2026, which happened to be an election year, I wish to urge my fellow Gambians to maintain the peace in our country and comport ourselves in a peaceful manner, because elections comes and go, but the Gambia will remain the same. So that's the message that I have. And I wish every Gambian and non-Gambians, both home and abroad, a peaceful and prosperous 2026. With respect to telecommunications, this day and age, we all understand that people can hardly even live without their telephone. Some of them, wherever they go, the telephones are with them. In fact, not only one telephone, but maybe two. Some people have even 3 telephones. So that has increased the usage of telecommunications such that the amount we mentioned, that it has, the usage has increased, and subsequently or consequently, the revenue also has gone up. Yes, PURA play a part because they are the regulators. They play a part in terms of what they come up with and what should happen on their side. But I don't think anything that they do will have a significant negative effect in our collection. If on anything, the plans are ahead for GRA to digitalize the sides of revenue that comes from them. Some of the sides, for example, the VAT, the telecoms, they pay a lot of VAT because it's you and me who pay, not the telecom companies. When they charge you for your bill, inclusive of that bill, there is VAT and there is excise. So what they do technically, they collect that on your behalf, on our behalf, and collectively at the end of the month they forward it to us. So we are coming up also with a system that will also collaborate with their systems so that at the end of the month, we know exactly, just like we are doing with all the other reforms, we know exactly how much you have paid for your VAT for that period of 1 month, how much I have paid. So when we bring that kind of transparency in the system, then our expectation is that everything that belongs to us will come to us. So we are thinking that once that system is ready, which we expect it to be ready, that is the revenue assurance. It hasn't started yet, but we are thinking that by second quarter of this year, we will have the revenue assurance in. And with that, we think that instead of the revenue you are thinking that might be negatively affected, we are thinking that the revenue will rather increase. And I can tell you, no matter what happened, the love people have with digital platforms now, with telephones, data, text messages, and blah, blah, no matter what happened, people will still continue using it. Because that's what we find ourselves now. People will not have food to eat, but when you tell them about a mobile data, they will go in for the data, and they will go in to get some credits to make sure that they call. Already the government has set up committees that are responsible to look after duty waivers. It depends on the business, what kind of business the small traders have, or small or medium. If they have an import, for example, depending on what they bring in, and they think that they can request for duty waiver, there is a committee that has been established by Ministry of Finance. In that committee, you have representatives of GRA, you have representatives of Ministry of Trade, you have representatives from Ministry of Finance itself. So they look at it based on the criteria set. If the person is qualified, yes, they will give. It doesn't really matter whether it's big, small, or medium. That's one. In the second side, there is another committee that is set at Ministry of Trade, and that the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Trade chairs that one. And that is the SIC committee. The SIC is for an ordinary person, special investment certificate. And this also help whether small, medium, or big businesses. If your application, you have to send in application for you to request for the waiver of certain taxes. It depends on whether you meet the criteria. Because we have to be honest to ourselves. Government cannot open a blanket waiver for anybody to just come and then do that without checks and balances. So the committees are there for us to be organized. We must set up these committees, and the committees are there to address the issue of those who want tax waivers, and they are genuine businesses. They have to apply it, and then through those committees, if they are qualified, they will be given the waiver. If they are not qualified, we'll say, unfortunately, because of ABC, until you meet that, then you are not qualified for this time. So that is how things work in governance. As they said in English, it takes time to build a name, a good reputation. It can take years. If those of you are following GRA, it takes a long time. We are trying to build up the credibility and the good name of GRA and our standing until we get where we are. The question is asking now, with all these digital platforms that we are bringing in, will we be able to sustain it? My answer is yes, we will. That is our desire. Because we are not here to fail. We are here to win. There is no way we will go back to the olden days. There is no way we will go back to the olden days. Our desire is to even improve more on what we are doing. As you can follow, I am telling you one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. And that is the trend we are going. So we are with the belief that, and we are hopeful that these digital platforms will be maintained for years and years and years to come. Whatever it takes to do that, we will do that. Whatever it takes to do that, we will do that. If you remember, when 2022, when we brought in the Asikuda wall, the internet connection that we have was on a wireless system. We quickly had to go, whatever it takes, to discuss with Gamtel, to bring in, to make a contract with Gamtel, and we paid a huge amount of money to Gamtel, and even to sustain our platforms. If I tell you how much we are paying, you wouldn't believe it. It's over $500,000 to just to maintain this platform that we are riding on. On a monthly basis, that's what we pay to Gamtel. Because whatever we do in GRA, we want it to be transparent. We want to be very clear with what it is very important, that question. Because to sustain the digital platform means a lot. That network, fiber network, must be constantly on. Electricity, energy must be constantly on. People looking after that systems and the backup systems must be constant, and etc., etc. So all this need a huge amount of money to do. So what he's saying is whether we will be able to sustain this for the future. And I'm saying, as a CG, yes, we will be able to sustain it. In fact, we will improve more, because we know what it takes for us to go out of this system. Even if it takes 1 hour for the system to go down, that costs millions. Because imagine if the servers are not working for an hour. Throughout the country, no operation. So we make sure that our IT personnel are always on their foot to make sure that the systems stay alive. Energy, no electricity problem. Either we have provided generator backups, we have provided solar backups, in addition to NAWEC. Of course, we rely on NAWEC more, because it's more economical when we go through with NAWEC than the other alternative source of energy. But I can assure you we are on track, and we will make sure that we maintain that. The economic is such that the way we do look at our tax system, you have LTU, you have the large taxpayers. People are considered large taxpayers or large importers. And then you have the medium and small. These are businesses that are not like the big ones, but they are in the middle and they also play a role. But then you have other ones that are called informal. Now the bigger problem is not on the large importers or large taxpayers. And it is not on the medium or small taxpayers. It is in the informal. Here, informal means people who are operating around the town and they have nothing to do with GRA. So some of them, they have their shops in corners, they are operating. Some of them don't even know what is GRA. Right? So these are the kind of people we are talking about. Because anybody who is at the level of LTU, large taxpayers unit, or large importers, there's no way we will get you, because you'll have a TIN number. And whoever have a TIN number, we can trace you on our system. So if you don't pay your income tax, when you bring your import, it will be reflected, and then we will block your TIN number from the Asikuda, and then you cannot clear your goods. You will be forced to come and go to income to pay your domestic taxes. So we have systems in place that we can track those people without necessarily going after them. The systems that we have can control that. You'll just sit down here, track down an importer or a business. The business cannot do anything. They must come to us to do what we want them to do. But the difficulties we have is the informal sector. And what we are doing within our vision, within our powers, because GRA, we have a staff number barely about 1,000. And if you look at the Gambia's population now, it's about 2.5. Now, you can imagine 1,000 people. We may not be able to go to every corner. We may not be able to go to every village, every shop that is there that is not registered. So that's why we also want the help of everybody within this country, whether citizen or non-citizen. If you see somebody who has a business and you suspect that he's not paying, let the information be passed to GRA. We are doing our own. Our staffs are going around and to check where some of those businesses are, to find out whether they're coming out to pay their taxes or not. But again, I want to give this tax to the general public, that this business we are doing is for all of us. So at the end of the day, if you suspect somebody is not doing what he's supposed to do in terms of his tax obligations, you can refer the person. You can talk to one of our staffs. We have our offices all over the country. Once you give information to one GRA officer, whether he works directly with tax or customs or nothing, the information will get it. And we have telephone numbers as well, toll-free numbers, where you can call, and then you will you'll get answered, and then you can report. Equally, we have our website, which is active. You can go through there. You can send questions or some pinpoint some certain areas for us. We have people that look at the website on daily basis. So the information can come from the public, and then we can help each other. But to answer your question, yes, our staff always go out. They don't, we have what we call enforcement. We have team of enforcement that goes out on daily basis to check around for those people who are within the operating business in the Gambia, but they are not within our tax bracket. For us, what we do, we are just appealing to them to come up. They will not be charged penalty or interest or what. We want to enroll them. We want to get hold of them so that when they come, they will become part of the bigger population. So that's our appeal for the general public. I want everybody to understand that GRA does not have the mandate to increase tax rates. Where we want something to do with tax rates, we have to refer it to Minister of Finance. And already we are in 2026, so tax rates cannot be increased. And if you follow the trend of GRA or different Gambia, over the years, we have been reducing tax rates or even the taxable income. If you look before, those who are affected by PAYE, pay as you earn from your salaries, if you have 24,000, then you start paying the PAYE. But now that has been moved to 36,000. So your earning must go up to 36,000 before you will attract the tax rate. But in short, no, we are not going to increase any tax rate because it's not within our mandate to increase tax rate. That is the responsibility of Minister of Finance. But when you talk about target setting, it is done by GRA, Minister of Finance, and IMF. And we discuss it. It's not one day discussion. We'll discuss it and discuss using methods to get to the target. And once it's agreed, it means that it is our target. It's not like, you see, when somebody imposes something to you, you may do it unwillingly, but you may be doing it on condition. But if you agreed while they are setting the target, then it becomes your own thing. And that's what happens. Maybe in the past, yes, but now for the past years, no. They don't impose, but we sit, we discuss. And now what happened next? Once we agreed that this is the target for the year, let's say a good example this year, 27.5 billion. To you, me, and everybody here, it's a huge amount of money. And it's not million, billion. I'm talking about billion. We are talking about billion. It's not easy. And that has to come, small until we get there. What we do is we also call our staffs, and then we try to make sure that everybody knows the tax ahead of us. And we make sure that those that are responsible for our systems, we make sure that every system that is created or is there for a particular assignment, we make sure that they do what they are expected to do. And in addition to that, if you are listening, I said that we also come in 2026 with new reforms, like rental income platform, where there is a lot of buildings. I'm sure you'd see a lot of buildings in the Gambia now. A lot of investors are coming here. And you see, when you go through Senegambia Road, you see very, very big buildings going. You go to Kololi, Bijilo, and all this, you see construction. These are all new buildings, and most of them are on commercial, for commercial purpose. But most of them are not within our tax bracket. It means that those people are receiving the rent, they are using all the rents for themselves. And the government said, it's a law, government said, if you receive a rent on commercial property, 15% of the gross amount should be paid to government, to GRA, through GRA. But when we realize that that is not happening, and that is why we bring in that platform, so that we can get those that are not within the tax bracket. The platform will help us to get that. It's created in such a way that when we call your name with your TIN number or your telephone number, it brings all the properties that you have. And then it even show your location. So our enforcement will easily get hold of you. They will call you through your number, and then when you call, they'll show you your properties and their location. And they will ask you, did you pay your tax on this one? Did you pay on that other one? Now you are there to answer the questions for them. So that's one. I also said that we are expected to have the revenue assurance with the telecoms, so that the telecom communication companies that are paying the digital platform that is going to work with them, that we believe will also help us. That is also in the pipeline. And then I also said earlier on that there is a VAT electronic receipting, that people are collecting VAT on our behalf. And when you go to a shop, they give you a receipt when you pay. Within the receipt, there is what we call VAT. That is a money that they take from you. And the expectation is they will pay that to GRA. Is that what is happening? No. Not all of them are paying that to GRA accordingly. So we are bringing a system that we can have it in all the shops, so that when you go there or somebody else go to that shop and you pay your VAT, that VAT money will be seen and it will be taken to GRA. So this, among other things that we have in plan for 2026, they will all be helpful to GRA to make sure that this target we are saying, we get the target, we get it. Instead of increasing by 1 billion on an annual basis or 1.5, but we are galloping like last year it was 5 billion on top of our target. And you know, the year before last was 5 billion. Last year, this from last year is 4.5 billion. Who knows next year how much it's going to be. So, but how far can we go? Because there has to be a limit, you know. That's a very important question. But all I can say is, as far as life is concerned and businesses are concerned, we are praying that businesses will grow in this country. And that brings me to my end of speech statement, that is peace. As long as we have peace in this country, we believe that businesses will come as they are coming now. So the more business we have in the country, and the more we digitalize our systems, the efficiencies will come. And that just efficiencies will give us more revenue. But the fact of the matter is that even we have more revenue, there has to be a limit. So maybe we can go this year, next year, but there'll be a time it will really be so high that, you know, we have to be mindful of how much we increase. Probably maybe when we get to that level, we might say this, okay, we'll increase, but very small margin. Because one thing about GRA is, in as much as we want to collect revenue, we don't want to kill any business. If you look at what we are doing, let me make this clear to the press. This amount of money that we are collecting is not as a result of increase in tax rates. It is as a result of efficiency that we put into the system. That is by digitalizing the system. And that is why we are getting what we are getting. And digitalizing means we are broadening the tax base, inclusive of those who were not there before. Now we are bringing it. And then creating more efficiency, and that is what is bringing efficiency, accountability, transparency. That is what is as a result of this revenue that we have. And we will continue doing that to make sure that more systems comes. Until we go paperless, we still have more to go. Like I said earlier, petit à petit, les lois ont fait son nid. So we are like ndanka, we are making it step by step, but we go to a point where you will see our footprints in every shop that you go, in every corner that you go, every supermarket that you go, you see our footprint. We go to a point where we become paperless, so that everything we do is just through electronics. Once we get to that level, the revenue will increase, and definitely the people will enjoy the outcome of our collection, because it will reflect on the developments that will be happening in the country. But let me take it this way. The tax system itself in this country is self-assessment. You started with domestic taxes. When you do a business, at the end of the day, right, whether monthly, quarterly, yearly, you know your turnover. Either you go to accounting firms that prepare the accounts for you, or you submit your tax based on your turnover without any any accounting firm involved. What we do, we give you what we call benefit of the doubt. You know, when you go to a tax man, you said, I have come to pay my quarterly tax or my monthly VAT. They don't question you, they accept that money. But what is behind it is the law has given us the power to come after you, to audit your work. It can even go 6 years back. We request for your documents and we audit. You will not believe that whenever we do that, we receive millions and millions. We just did one for the banking sector last year. And if I tell you, some of the banks, they paid over hundreds of millions in addition to the tax that they pay. And that comes through the tax audit. Hundreds of millions. So one bank will pay over 100 million in addition. And all other banks also pay some extra. So the tax audit is doing a very, very important job. Very important. That is why the system is called self-assess. You allow people to do whatever they want to do, but they know that, knowing that after we will go for them, and the period can go up to 6 years. So it really helps, because this time if we come for you, we audit, you realize you pay extra 50 million or 30 million, obviously next time you will put your house in order. You will not like the same thing to happen. So it's paying that. And then if you flip the coins to the other side of international trade, when someone brings in a container, a car, or anything, you are the person who get the container. You are the one who will do the declaration. You know your invoice. You know how much you bought the goods in China or in Europe or whatever. So you bring and then give your clearing agent to do the declaration. At the end of the day, the agents will declare what you give him. Now, GRA will not go after you. They will just accept your payment. But there is another audit behind for international trade called PCA. That is the post-clearance audit. And this unit will also wait until you clear everything. And then they will now go after your documents. They will check one by one. And then they will come up with a result to say that you imported this and that sometime this period. Yes. And this item, this is what you paid. Yes. But we have realized that you have a short collection of this amount. They show you the figures. Figures don't lie. They show you everything. And then at the end of the day, you will be convinced that this is true and you pay. I will tell you, just last year, this 2025, the PCA also collect over 20 million on those kind of audits. So we have a backup always. We give people benefit of the doubt, but after giving them benefit of the doubt, they clear, then we go after them to say, some of them, when we go and check, we realize that you haven't done anything wrong. Because it's not everybody who does those kind of under declaration or false declaration. Some of the businesses are doing it right. So when we realize that you do it right, we said you do it right. We can even send you commendation later. As I said earlier on, the special investment certificate, which is called the SIC, is normally issued by JIPA. But JIPA also, they don't just come out and issue it like that. If any business, be it medium, small, large, if you think that you are qualified to have the SIC, there is a process and you have to follow that application process. Once you follow the application process, then there's that committee that sits over it. And the committee is composed of various ministries. GRA is there, finance is there, trade is there, JIPA is there. So at the end of the day, you know, when they qualified, they said, yes, this one is qualified. And then a letter is also released and a certificate from JIPA to trade. The minister has to sign that certificate, and copies of that is sent to GRA. And when it's sent to GRA at the level of the customs, our system admit lady is here, Ndeisira, he and her team will also put that into the Asikuda system, so that every time you have importation, because it goes alongside with a list of all the items that you want to bring over a period of time. If it is 5 years, every year you are supposed to bring this. Then the next year you are supposed, so they have that list attached and they put it into the computer. Every time you bring an import, they minus that amount from your list until your time is expired. Now, the number of SICs that they have given over a period, I don't have that on my head currently. I don't have that. It's only JIPA that can give you that statistics, that this year, this particular year, this is what we give. This is so if, for example, we do research, we can also have it in our system. Within this year, we have this number of SICs, but I don't have it on my head like this is the number. But to tell you that JIPA also have conditions. They don't only give you SIC and they leave you like that. What they're doing now is, one of the conditions is you have to submit your financial statement, whether you make profit or not, on an annual basis. If failure of which they write to us and said, cancel that SIC or suspend that SIC, let them not have the benefit. They also have to submit activity report on a quarterly basis, so that JIPA will know that we have given this company this SIC, but this is what they have been doing on periodically. Because most of the time they will say we are employing this number of people. Now, that has to be the truth. And you have to send that activity report to JIPA. Failure of which JIPA, because they are reporting to JIPA, failure of which JIPA will also write to us and say, that particular company is not doing X, Y, Z. Because of that, you suspend it from your system. I may not have the statistics of head like that to say, for example, 2025, but we have it in our report. End of year, the end of year report, tax report is there. The amount that we've forgone for duty waiver, the amount we've forgone for SIC is all there. But one thing I can tell you, in every country, there has to be this balancing act, in the sense that you cannot say that you will tax everything. There has to be some people or some businesses that will have tax waiver. It's just unavoidable. It has to happen. For example, you have seen that there is a lot of development that's going on in the country. Road construction is all over, left, right, center, and in the middle. Now, those companies that are involved in those road construction, it is during the designing period, this contract signing, they will indicate that the goods that they are bringing in for that road construction should be tax exempted, and they will have a waiver for it. So naturally, whether it's Gambia or it's outside of Gambia, those ones has to be given. And the other thing could be the government import. Naturally, government also import time to time vehicles and other things. You cannot just charge duty for government. They can pay it, but it doesn't make sense, because when they pay, you have to, they have to take it out. So it's better for them to have a waiver, to have clear it in our system rather than have it. And you also have diplomatic services. They also, internationally, when they have their vehicles or other things, the laws allow them not to also pay. So etc. So it's very difficult to say you have a society that will go without duty waiver. However, we try to control it, and that's why the committee is set. Because we, at the level of GRA, we want it to be minimal. Because any one duty waiver that you give out, it means it's minus from our tax. And we want to collect everything so that we can have our target. So in as much as those people are mindful of that, those people are concerned, we are more concerned about that than them. Because we know that every million we give out, it's a million minus from our target. So we try to make sure that we work with Ministry of Finance, with Ministry of Trade, JIPA, and all the other bodies to make sure that these exemptions are as minimal as possible. But it cannot be completely wiped out because it has never happened in any country. It happens everywhere. I always mention in my speeches that it's important for us to have political will, because what we are doing in terms of reforms are painful. Painful in the sense that these reforms that we've mentioned, when we start applying them, it affects individual businesses who are benefiting due to the lack of digitalization in that section of the business. And because they are benefiting, when we bring the digital platform, it blocks up the loophole that is there. And they don't want to lose that opportunity of where they are making extra money. So they fight back, and then they resist. And when they resist, what do? They try to go to different politicians, to different places, so that they can have support against GRA. So as a result, and we are lucky that the government of the day give us the support. Anytime those kind of things comes, the government always gives us the support. That, no, this one is something that has been discussed between us and GRA, and then it has to happen. So that's why you see most of our, most of our reforms are successful because of that political backing. However, it is a fact to say that in any particular year, when it becomes an election year, it affects the revenue collection. That is the truth. It affects it in the sense that businesses, they don't like noise. Businessmen don't like noise. They want peace, stability, security, and everything. So normally in an election year, they sometimes are very cautious. So we, based on the trend we have, every election year, our revenue goes down a bit. So this year may not be a different year. But in as much as it goes down, we will make efforts to make sure that we do the balancing act. We make sure that, so sometimes the import will be reduced, but then we try to see how we can adjust it in other areas. But we are expecting that it's not necessarily our politicians will go against us. No, they will not. But we know that election years are always critical like that. Imports are reduced, business activities are a bit slow, but that will not make us to stop what we are doing. We will keep the balancing act to make sure that, our revenue, we go above water. We may not have super past the target as such, but we try to do our best. But we are very cognizant of the fact that election year is an year that, it affects the revenue somehow. You see, I mentioned that targets are not imposed. Targets are discussed and agreed, which is the fact. But again, the country's targets are linked to the country's development. Let me break down this. You see, every country, every year you have a budget that runs the country. And it doesn't mean you have to be an economics. You just an ordinary, be a historian. But you should know that there is a budget that runs the country. And that budget is break down into 3 components. First, you have domestic revenue. Second, you have grant. Third, you have loans. So the government, every other government, not only Gambia, every other government will now look at how much can I get from the domestic revenue mobilization. What they call charity begins at home. Because you have to make sure that you put on something on the table before an outsider give you his or her their money. So the first primary component is the domestic revenue mobilization. And that is why, if you look at the Gambia, the total budget now, I can't remember the figure exactly, but I think it's close to now 40-something billion per year. Now, when it was around 25 billion, some maybe 2-3 years ago, we will not be given a target of 25 billion because we are not supposed to fund the entire budget. At that time, if you look at probably our target was 10 billion or 7 billion some years back. And then when it was 30, then they have the other component that will be relying on the grants that we receive from outside. And then the other part will be the loans that we will receive from outside our development partners. And then together, it meets up the budget for the year. And that budget is the one that government will use for salaries, for loan payment, for other things, infrastructure development and things like that. So in other words, the target that they give us is dictated by the budget that we have on the table. You see, ministers of finance have a very difficult job because they don't want to charge too much tax, but also they need to have money to make sure that the country runs smoothly. So it's a very, very difficult task for every minister of finance. Because on your table, you now have seen that my budget for the year is 40 billion. Now, out of that 40 billion, how much do I have to collect domestic revenue? You want the domestic revenue to collect more so that your reliance on the grants and your reliance on the loans will be minimal. And now you have to do some arithmetic. And that's what happened. So that the ministry, in as much as we find it very difficult to get the target, but the Ministry of Finance cannot really go back and give us a target of now 7 billion. It's not possible because of many factors. You know that we have improved a lot in terms of the way we work. If you give us 7 billion, within 3 months we collect the target. Maybe the rest of it, what are we going to do with it? So because we have developed so much that the money we collect has to go towards that 27 billion because of all the improvements we do. And the minister also understands that if we can get 27.5 billion, then the rest of the budget that is not given to GRA, he will now have to work to see his bilateral partners to get the loan and the grants so that the country will run 12 months without problem. It's a difficult situation, but it has to go like that. The more development, the more budget the government have, the more GRA has to collect. And finally, on that subject, the other point is all the countries now want to go in what we call domestic revenue mobilization. The question of relying on outside for loans and grants, people have now reduced it greatly because you want to rely on yourself to make sure that you create something for yourself that you can use without anybody telling you what to do. The money that we generate here is the money that is our own. And that money, we can use it either to build schools, to build roads, hospitals, do whatever with it, and nobody is going to question us that. But the money that we get outside, even if it is a grant, there is something that is attached to it. If it is a loan, there is something that is attached to it. And now you don't know those attachments, what they will dictate. They may be very difficult for you to use the money for another purpose that is not meant for the grant. And that is why ministries of finance try to do their best to make sure that they are able to collect domestic revenue to a higher level so that they can be able to do whatever they want to do. Well, it's a process. They have started building the system. In fact, just yesterday, we have received some other hardwares that came through the airport. But it's a process, and what we discuss with them, they will be delivering in phases. We are not going to wait until they complete everything. No. The most important part of it is the registration, filing, payment, reforms. If they are able to develop that part until that one stands, we will be using that while they concentrate in other parts of the project. And we are looking forward towards the fourth quarter of the year. Not as now, but fourth quarter of the year. Maybe at that time, we may be able to have something on the table. We will not put it under the carpet. We will bring it out and you will know. Because it affects all of you. iTax will affect all of you one way or the other because you have to do your filing. except if you are not doing business. But if you are doing business, you have to do your filing, and we will inform you accordingly. I know it's difficult to part with money. All of us here, when we are faced with a situation that we should pay tax, it's difficult. You journalists, maybe I pray that you all have cars that they send to you. You come and ask GRA, "Look, I have a car to clear." When we said that this car will cost you 750,000, you will shout. I don't have that kind of money, you know. If it is a used car, we said you pay 61,000 or 65, you will shout. So generally, it's not easy to part with money, but I believe tax payment is an obligation. And that if you're doing some activity, business activity in a country, it is an obligation upon you, whether it's small, big, or medium, that you come forward and pay your taxes. But whereas you don't do that, we have other means to follow you. For example, I mentioned about TIN number. And those who have TIN number, they registered in our system. Either you are importer or you are not importer, but you are a small player. If you are dealing with domestic, if once we have TIN number, we can follow you. We can follow your business. But when you don't have anything of that, but you still physically present somewhere, we also have enforcement team that goes out. Because you remember, we have businesses, we have branches all over the country. In the KMC alone, we have an office in Kanifing, our tax office. We have office in Serekunda. We have office in Talinding. We have office in Welingara. Just KMC, that small area alone. So we have, and each of these offices, they have enforcement team that goes around. They don't stay in the house. So in case some of those businesses are there that have not registered, they are not coming forward, it's just a matter of time, but we come across with them. It's just a matter of time. That's one effort. The second one, like I mentioned about rental income software that we are developing, part of it has been delivered since end October. And the second phase is for West Coast is coming. Currently, they are working on that. So what that means is it will locate for those businesses, people who have the properties and they are not coming forward. Wherever they are, we will be able to locate them, and they will come forward. That is what we call those that are not within the tax bracket. We try to figure them out and to make sure that they come forward. Again, when you look at those that are involved in import, for example, basic food commodities, there was a provision that we have given the business community since COVID days, and that is the payment of their duty is not based on 100%. When they submit their import, their CIF, CIF is the invoice that they put, that is the cost, insurance, and freight. When they submit that, before duty is calculated, 20% is calculated and is put off of what they are supposed to pay. And this is supposed to stop since COVID, but we still keep it because this is deliberate action that the government still want to help the Gambian citizens, such that the 20% that should have been added to their tax on all food, most of the food products, is being put off up to today. That 20% is not being paid on the CIF. When you have the CIF, you take 20% out, the 80% that is left, that is where we charge you duty, as the duties are charged based on the CIF. So in general, I think government is doing a lot of things for the citizens. Sometimes it's difficult, maybe if you are not interacting with the tax institution, you don't know, but we are doing a lot. Even in the rental income, we have reduced the domestic rent from 10% to 8%. So now if you have someone who is living, rent your property, and they are there, but they are not on commercial basis, instead of 10, you pay 8%. And the withholding taxes, that is if you are doing businesses in general, we have increased some from 10%, from 15% to 10%. We have increased all that are involved in construction from 10% to 5%. Beyond that, government also has increased taxable income. Like if you are working before, and then you have your total income per year is $24,000, which means technically $2,000 is above. You still have to pay PAYE, pay as you earn. But looking at that, we advise the ministry that we can put it up. so that the taxable income can go higher. Now it goes up to 36,000. It means that your income has to go above 3,000 before you can even pay tax. So definitely government is also doing a lot in order to do it in a, as my brother will say, balancing act, to reduce the tax rates for people so that they can, they can pay, and at the same time the businesses can survive. We're doing it in a way. Recently also to the rice for some time now is duty free. You don't pay duty, you don't pay VAT, you don't pay anything. Even some of you, if you have money, you can import a vessel of rice. Once it comes to the Gambia, there's no duty payment, there's no VAT. So these are things that we are doing behind the scene with the Ministry of Finance. And unless we say it, maybe some people are not even aware that all these good works are happening in terms of reduction of taxes. But really, year in, year out, we do it. We do reduce the taxes. What we are good at is broadening the tax base and increasing the efficiency, accountability and transparency in the system. And that is what is translating to the good collections that we are doing. And I promise you that we will continue doing that. Whatever is going to help the Gambians, that's what we'll do. Because we are here for you people. So definitely, we can assure you that we will do everything humanly possible to make tax payments affordable, easy, and above all, to make it digital for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner General. Thank you very much.